Yeah. Alright. What was that you said? What was that you said, you punk? You punk ass piece of YOLO freak show, you. Okay, I can't do this. Okay, this is probably the closest thing to gangster I am. I don't even know how they fucking talk. Hello and welcome to another midnight showing. As always, I'm Kelly, and I'm not gonna talk with this thing on anymore. Air. Seriously, how the fuck do you guys talk in these shit? Look. Hello, I'm Kelly. I just got out of straight out of Compton, if you can't tell by my gangster apparel, which is totally just ripping off Naruto at the moment. Full disclosure and a word of warning. What I'm about to talk about may be considered controversial, because it is. Honesty, racism, police brutality, gangstas, all of it. It's very, very controversial, and I'm not going to try to step on eggshells here. So if I piss someone off, I piss somebody off. Just know that these are my opinions. In full disclosure, I know absolutely nothing about what was going on inside this film other than what I've heard about, because when this all happened, I was 3 years old. 3. Count it. Read them and weep. So if I get something wrong or say something stupid, please let me know in the comments below. Be polite about it, but just know that I apologize if I offend anyone. With all that out of the way, let's get on with the review. So for those who don't want a kind of spoilers or anything like that, this is a see for yourself. It's one of the ones I can recommend in theaters because I know nothing about this subject or anything that actually happened back then other than hearsay and whatnot. All I can do is judge the movie on the merits of it being a movie and not its connection to the real life thing. So everything I got from watching the film itself. With that said, this film is not perfect. It has some really, really, really weird, crappy camera stuff that I'm just sick of seeing in all films. I think it was this one that really just took it over the edge because I didn't really like the movie experience I went to. And there are some pacing issues, primarily near the end of the movie. It just ends. I'm not going to put it any other way. With those out of the way, though, this is a very, very well put together biographical picture about 3 guys who started a band and rode that wave as far as they could. Mostly about Eazy-E because, well, he was the start and end of the NWA. But there's enough about Dr. Dre and Ice Cube that I can say it's about all 3 of them. So, on the merits of it being a movie alone, I recommend go see it and decide for yourself. I've already heard too many people say, no, I'm not interested in that gangster crap. Guys, it's a biographical film about shit that really went down. Go see it on those merits alone. Okay? This wasn't Unbroken level crap biographical film. But this wasn't quite the Intimidation Game either, which is to soundly snark at the people who praise this as being the modern marvel that it is. It's not. The Intimidation Game was far better than this. Sorry, I might have said that wrong. Imitation Game. Don't harass me in the comments. So yes, my final verdict is go see it in theaters. It's worth a full price admission ticket. Just don't be that idiot that took their little child to this damn thing. This is not a kid's movie. This is going into, again, police brutality, the gangster life, including all of the bitches they be getting, naked by the way. They're dropping F-bombs like they're fucking candy inside of this movie. They're killing people. There's dog fights at one point. I mean, good fucking God, why would you take a 5-year-old to this? I don't care if you give him an iPad to play in the theater. Personally, I think that makes it even worse. If you can't tell, going to this showing was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Oh, and that's not even counting all the other shit the audience was doing. Look, I don't mind if they sing along with the songs because, yes, these are their favorite bands and whatnot, but I don't like running commentary from the peanut gallery, okay? Just shut up and let me watch the movie. Yeah, it was that kind of movie experience, but I'm not holding that against the actual film itself for the most part. I'm holding it against the audience, as they should. But yeah, go see this movie. Try to find a day when there's not many people there. As you can tell, my movie experience wasn't that good. I went to the last showing on, admittedly, the cheap day, the $5 Tuesday, because I couldn't see this on Thursday when it came out, because West Stakes doesn't know how to put their freaking movie show times up online. But I went there, and it was a sold-out auditorium. I mean, there was literally no seats left in that auditorium. Everything was taken. I showed up there a half hour early to get my ticket, and there was a line out the fucking door. To say this movie is popular is an understatement. To say that it's good is also an understatement, because it was a really good film, which is why I say you have to go see it and decide for yourself. What's talking about are very, very charged topics, to put it mildly. And that's a good way to introduce the spoiler section. If you guys want to stay for spoilers, here we go. So this movie starts out by introducing the three people who would later become the NWA and showing how they all basically became friends and how they aspire to get out of Compton, which is hell, a hellhole. I'm not going to put it mildly. It's portrayed as a hellhole of drugs, crime, police brutality, and harassment. God, I don't even want to visit there with how bad this movie made it look. It's that fucking bad. And thus the three guys come together and make their debut song. They get a band manager. He starts getting them gigs, end up a tour, which caused so many problems, as well as just, really dumb shit. Getting kicked out of hotels. Come on, guys. You can have more class than that, even if you come out of Compton. But it shows how their music affected people across the entire world. And it doesn't pull its punches on anything that it's showing. The police brutality, even the gang violence and things caused by their music, it doesn't pull its punches. It acknowledges that it probably did do that, but not in the way that you think. One of the best things about this movie are the themes. And the biggest theme is being brutally honest, not just with yourself, not just with your music, not just with the messages you want to get across the world, but being brutally honest about life itself. Their music is honest to where they grew up. Yes, someone like me from Utah who grew up technically during while this was all happening, but I was too young to remember, but doesn't remember any of this shit. This is an alien concept to me because, frankly, most of this problem was solved by the time I grew up. And for someone to try to correct me, look, I don't live in California. I don't know the problems. I have enough problems here in Utah with my own stuff. So leave me out of it. But the NWA caused a lot of stir by actually pointing out what's actually going on in shitholes like Compton and, Detroit, when they all got arrested for singing a song, which is against the First Amendment. Come on, guys. It's not that. It's a bad song. I will admit, I'm not a fan of Fuck the Police. But they have every right to sing it, especially at a venue they're being paid to sing it at. What the fuck? And it shows how, because they wanted to shut them up so much, they became a self-fulfilling prophecy, which inevitably started rioting and violence and crime, making both parties involved, the people saying that they're inspiring violence and them saying that no, you are, both correct. This is how self-fulfilling prophecies work, people. It's a pretty simple thing to avoid by not being a douche. That easy. Don't lie and don't be a douche. But then the movie and shows why the NWA fell apart, both because the manager and Eazy-E were kind of undercutting everybody else, and because both Dr. Dre and Eazy-E refused to be honest with themselves. And the movie shows how their lives both excel and descend quite rapidly based on what they're doing and their decisions. You cover the course of about 5 years of these guys' lives and everything they had to go through, whether it be Death Row Records, Ruthless Records, A1 Records, or whatever they're called. All of their different musical choices and movie choices between I think it was 1989 and 1994. I'm pretty sure those were the dates, but correct me if I'm wrong. And it shows the ups and flows leading up to Eazy-E's death in the late 1993 or early 1994. I wasn't too clear on the date on that one. As I said, the themes of this movie being brutally honest with everything come into play, especially when going into the lives of everybody. Ice Cube was always brutally honest to a fault. And he's the one who ended up out the best off of all of them. He had his own company, he had multiple music deals, he had movie rights, he was never really in financial difficulties, he had a loving wife and kids, he had a posse that followed him because he was always honest with himself and everybody else involved. Dr. Dre made compromises. He acknowledged the truth, but he also acknowledged he had bills to pay. He had a kid. He had a wife. He had his mother. His brother had just died. He had to make compromises to survive. Not exactly the best because of how it made it end up with Suge Knight and Death Row Records, which by the end of the movie, he decides to be brutally honest with them and tell them, fuck you, I'm out. Which is what needed to happen ever since he started to notice that things weren't going the way he wanted them to. And unfortunately, we get to the true main focus of this movie. As much as I like to say that Dr. Dre and Ice Cube got plenty of screen time, the real focus is Eazy-E, who is the one who would not accept reality. He's the one who lied off his ass. He's the one who got in bed with a guy that screwed over everybody else and eventually screwed him over to the point where he had nothing left. He was in a worse house than I'm living in right now. He had nothing. Ruthless Records has been basically dead and buried. He had a few good members left. He had no talent. He was a washout, trying to find something. Which, when he finally realized how much he screwed everything up by, well, not being honest with everybody, including himself, making himself deluded enough to believe that their manager wasn't the slimeball that he was, he unfortunately contracted AIDS and died before he could see his goals realized of reuniting the NWA under the banner of just them. No managers, no nothing, just them making good music again, which is a really, really big shame. And it's a very tragic end to this story. It really is. I knew nothing about this, and when I went and saw this movie, I truly did feel sorry for Eazy-E and his family. I really did. Moving on to one of the other great points, which was just one of the ones that just blew me away, considering half the time I couldn't understand what they were speaking, because they're speaking in that faux gangster style where they just throw fuck in every sentence for some reason. But it was a really, really good thing. The acting was superb by everybody, especially the guys who played Eazy-E, Dr. Dre, and Ice Cube's son playing Ice Cube, because holy shit, he's the only one I can really talk about right now, because he's the one that just got me. Not only does he look exactly like Ice Cube, by the end of the movie, I really thought they just switched him out for his dad. That's how similar they look. I mean, that's scary. I don't even look like that much like my dad or my mom. I mean, seriously, that's like twin level. It's scary, but damn was he pitch perfect. He acts just like Ice Cube, although Ice Cube that I know, the one that did State of the Union and Are We Done Yet, or Are We There Yet, and Friday, all, the guy I grew up with. I never grew up on the rap stuff. I grew up on his movie stuff. Although there were several scenes that made me wonder, because I really wonder if his dad was like off screen, just like coaching him the entire time. Because there's several scenes where he's having sex with women, and I could totally just see his dad being like, "Yes, son, I need you to grab that girl's titties as firmly as possible, just the same way that I grabbed your mother's titties." This is really fucked up. But yeah, there were several scenes like that just popped in the back of my head and made me laugh to myself a little bit because, you know, it's possible. Ice Cube and Dr. Dre both produced this movie, which kind of leads into a negative, but I'll save that for when I actually start talking more about the negatives. But overall, the acting was just superb from everybody. And one of the things that they really did put a lot of attention to detail into, which was recreating a lot of the concerts that they did, especially the Detroit concert where they were arrested and riots broke out. You know, that one, that famous one, I believe it was in 1990. Yeah, they recreated that entire concert. And then they actually showed you footage of that concert at the very end of the movie inside of like the little montage stuff that they do in all biographical films. And holy shit, you can't tell the difference between that concert and the one they had in the movie that they recreated. I mean, the blocking, the way they talk, the walk, the way they're doing their songs, it was perfect, frame by frame perfect. Kudos. That is amazing. I have seen biographical films that don't do that, take that much effort, put so much effort into recreating shit like that. That's for you guys. And honestly, there's just so much other stuff that's good in this. I could go on for another hour talking about it. But because I want to try to keep this a little bit shorter, let's move into the negatives. Because there were a few negatives that I saw, mostly from a film point of view, but also from just an implied point of view that makes me think that things were altered because of reasons. Insert Dr. Dre and Ice Cube producing over here. Now, I mentioned them before that there was one thing about the camera work in this movie that just bugged the shit out of me. Cameraman, if you're going to use handheld cam for filming scenes that you should truly just use tripods and tractors, then you had better be able to hold the camera fucking still, because when you're just sitting on a guy, sitting there talking to another guy, I should not have to worry that the camera's doing this. I shouldn't have to worry that the camera is doing this while he's just sitting there. It comes off as shaky cam. And I have made my opinions of shaky cam very fucking clear. And this movie, I swear to God, the cameraman could not hold the camera still to save his fucking life. They are just sitting there looking out the window. Why is the camera jarring back and forth? I don't care if you're actually on a moving vehicle and whatnot. There's too much shaking of the camera in this, especially when there's nothing going on. Now, as I said, this wasn't the only movie that's done this, but this is the one that's just like tipping point. Combine that with my theater experience and the fact that I was getting a headache, I was looking for a reason to get mad at this film, and here's one right now. It's a stupid film trend that just bugs the shit out of me. I get it why handheld cam is so wanted, okay? I get why people think that it's better, but at the same time, I'm telling you right now that unless you're going to hold that camera as still as possible and only occasionally get a little wobble or a bump here and there, don't. Just don't. Use tripods. Use a freaking tractor so you can get a steady shot going along them. Do something different than this shaky cam. I'm sorry, sir. I was drunk last night. I can't hold my shit together. Maybe you should give it to the backup cameraman. No, I think you can do it fine. This is gonna get us some Oscar nods. I guarantee it. So I couldn't focus inside of several parts of this movie because of how much that camera was jarring. The most notable of which was the part where Eazy-E finally confronts his manager, Jerry, about all the shit he's been doing and finally drops his ass because of it. I couldn't pay attention because the camera was just jarring left and right. Why? Just put the camera straight on, please, for the love of God. Now we get on to the negative that I found was implied by the fact that this movie was produced by Dr. Dre and Ice Cube. There's really no negatives to their characters whatsoever inside of this film. None. Oh, sure, Dr. Dre makes compromises, but they pull that off as more of desperate and he was doing what he needed to do rather than doing the wrong thing, which he was. Just saying. He probably was. Maybe not when he stayed on with Ruthless Records, but definitely when he signed on with Death Row. Just saying. And also, there's really no negatives to Ice Cube's character whatsoever in this film. And I do mean that. There's, like, no negatives whatsoever. He's played off as the patron saint by the end of this movie. Even when he goes and wrecks his record owner's office because his record owner went back on his word. I mean, what the hell? There's no negatives to this guy whatsoever? And it clicked to me when I saw the credits and saw produced by Ice Cube and Dr. Dre. These guys are still alive. They still have active careers, and they can't make themselves look like douchebags. That's it. They altered their own biographical film to make it so that they don't have any negative stuff thrown at them. Rule of thumb for filmmakers. If you're going to make biographical films, do not let the people that they are about involved on the process. Sure, go to them for information, for stories, for things, and hell, you can maybe even get some stuff approved by them. I don't care. What I'm saying is that you don't let them have direct control into actually making this production, because they will take liberties like that because they're alive and they can't make themselves look bad for future deals, especially if they had some rather, promiscuous things to say about Apple when Dr. Dre sold Beats to them. I don't know, that might be a thing. When Ice Cube needs to promote his next movie, you don't really want any negatives inside of that now, do you? Just saying. And I say this as a negative because in the film, these characters needed more humanization. They needed to have those flaws. They needed to be able to make the mistakes and actually have the balls to call them wrong, rather than just sweep them under the rug. They seem like not real people. Eazy-E has all that shit thrown at him. He has everything he's ever done blow up in his face and being told it was wrong. He alienated his friends, his co-workers, everything. Eazy-E is a human being. Ice Cube and Dr. Dre in this movie are characters played by very, very talented actors. But they're still just characters. They never screamed real to me because of these small alterations. I get why they did that. I really do. And I even kind of think it's okay. Kind of, small smidgen part. But at the same time, the movie is lessened because of it. And that's where you have to draw the line. Do you make the movie better, more realistic, more accurate? Or do you just sweep it under the rug? Small things. I'm sure that didn't bug the hardcore fans, though. So maybe I'm just nitpicking at this point. And I could go on for days about the awesome acting from Ice Cube's son, the guy who played Eazy-E, freaking Paul Giamatti as Jerry. Although I do find it hilarious that this is the second movie I've seen him in where he's playing the slimy scuzzball manager who's really using his artists to steal more money. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Rock of Ages. But yeah, there's nothing else I could say that would really deter you from going to see this movie other than go see this movie. I know that didn't make any sense, but just bear with me. So, yeah, that's it for me. Did you enjoy the video? Have you seen Straight Outta Compton? Tell me what you thought about it in the comments below. Maybe we'll get some healthy discussion going, assuming I didn't piss everybody off to the point where I have no subscribers. Please don't go! But yeah, if you want to see some of my more recent videos, I will have them annotated right down here. And if you want to check out my channel, think about maybe subscribing, as well as see all of the midnight showings I've ever done. I will have those in lists up here. And yeah, I will see you all next time.